Hey, it is Andy with the FensePost Indie Music and Vinyl blog. David Berman had been a regular and cherished installment in indie music, fronting the band Silver Jews with 6 LPs to their name dating back to the mid-1990s. The last album under that moniker, Lookout Mountain, Lookout Sea, was released in 2008. So just over 10 years later, when it was announced that he had a new project, fans rejoiced. That rejoicing was short-lived. The project was called Purple Mountains, and the self-titled debut LP was released in mid-July 2019. I remember the vinyl version sold out really quickly after Berman's suicide that August, just 3 days before he was to begin tour in support of the record. You couldn't find it anywhere, outside of a few vastly overpriced copies on Discogs. Now, it's since been repressed and is now widely available for a much more reasonable price, running at around $25 on both Discogs and Amazon. Today, we're going to take a look at that album and look back at its impact. Did Purple Mountain's debut LP somewhat foreshadow Berman's suicide? The question is, to be honest, kind of irrelevant. It's the past, and there certainly appears to maybe be a correlation, but correlation does not mean causation. Still, listening to Purple Mountains is a heartbreaking venture. Reading the lyrics on the printed inner lyric sleeve drives home that fact. And I'll quote, "The dead know what they're doing when they leave this world behind." It's so vivid and straightforward. That's the opening line to Nights That Won't Happen. On the song, Berman dishes out vocal poetry reminiscent of Kyle Field's of Little Wings. Berman was known for this kind of lyrical prowess. He was the master at painting these vivid pictures with his poetry and adding to it with equally alluring instrumentation. Happy, quirky, sad, downright fucking heartbreaking, he hit all of those emotive touch points. In many ways, Purple Mountains was kind of a beginning and an ending in death. As has been rehashed over and over, Purple Mountains was the first new material from Berman since disbanding Silver Jews over a decade prior. According to Berman himself, his mother's death led him to pick up the guitar. You can hear the impact she had on his life in I Loved Being My Mother's Son. Creation of music for Berman, and for many I would suspect, is sort of a meditation. Then you have a song like All My Happiness Is Gone. Purple Mountains is not a happy album. Very little in the way of positivity can be found within. From the loneliness of maybe I'm the only one for me, to the hopelessness and all my happiness is gone. In the latter, Berman opens up with a notable line about growing older. And I'll quote, "Friends are warmer than gold when you're old. Keeping them is harder than you might suppose." It's a relatable line for anyone outside the traditional trajectory of the relationship escalator. Suddenly divorced, always kidless, living in a somewhat alternate lifestyles, these things can be quite isolating as you get older. Berman knew this all too well. In the video for the song by Brent Stewart and Matt Boyd, we get a 2-minute opener before the song begins. Many of the earlier shots of Berman show him alone in a room. The video conveys an interesting sense of isolation. When we do see him performing, we just see the audience hazy and out of focus. Even the band goes in and out of focus. It seems the only consistently clear individual is Berman himself, signifying the people slipping in and out of his life are the ones out of focus, and they just don't stay around long. There's a moment towards the end where he's mingling with the crowd. We then see them a little clearer, and we see him smile. It's the first smile we see Berman don during the entire video. And as he turns to the stage and bows out, the footage fades to black. Purple Mountains is an album packed with heartache. It's packed with loneliness. It's an artist tormented with depression. It's almost eerie in the aftermath of Berman's suicide. Throughout, though, there's beauty in the sadness. And I think that's something that is often overlooked. And there are lessons on mental health that are too often ignored. It takes me back to last year and reading Bittersweet by Susan Cain. There's beauty in these small little moments that some people see and most people don't. She called them shards, and there are elements of shards within Berman's video for All My Happiness Is Gone. There's bits of shards in the music that Purple Mountains creates. At times you just kind of wish that there was someone that had gotten there sooner. The Suicide Prevention Lifeline provides free and confidential support for people in crisis and distress. It's not just for those experiencing potential thoughts on suicide, but their loved ones as well. These days, you can reach them by simply dialing 988. What did you think of Purple Mountain's debut LP and the only work that Purple Mountains will create? What emotions did it leave you feeling? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.